I am pleased and delighted to welcome home Ami Nadiv. Ami is a senior at Lisk College, majoring in Talmud and Rabbinics at the Jewish Theological Seminary. And if that weren't enough, he's also majoring in economics and mathematics at Columbia University. Ami is a Detroit native, an alumnus of Hillel Day School and Frankel Jewish Academy, and most importantly, I should say that Ami is the son of our members Shelley and Otto Doobie. Right? That's all that matters. In his free time, what very little of it he has, Ami enjoys studying Talmud and creating meaningful Jewish experiences with his friends. It's now my pleasure and my privilege to welcome to the Bima of Congregation Shaare Zedek, Ami Nadiv.
Shabbat Shalom, Shaare Zedek. I want to start off by saying that it's so wonderful to get to return to a shul that means so much to me and which was such an important part of my childhood. About a decade ago, I was bar mitzvahed at Shaare Zedek B'nai Israel, and in many ways, as I'm about to graduate undergrad, it's very meaningful to get to come back and return here. I just hope that this time around, even though I'm a bit nervous, my voice won't crack in the middle of my speech. If it does, I hope you'll forgive me. I also wanted to take a moment, as Rabbi Starr mentioned, to thank the Herald Institute for Jewish Studies of JTS for enabling me to come back to Detroit and spend Shabbat with the Shaare Zedek community. Most people on this program are sent to various shuls throughout the country, but I get to come back home. I get to speak and get to spend Shabbat with friends and family, mentors and teachers, and that's an extraordinary experience. I also want to say that as a student of JTS Columbia, I've had the opportunity to study with world-class professors and rabbis, and their teachings, God willing, will stay with me for the rest of my life. So I want to start off by sharing a little bit about myself and the Judaism with which I was raised, and then under the guise of Dvar Torah, I hope to share with you much of what I've learned here at JTS. As Rabbi Starr mentioned, and as I alluded to, I'm a Detroiter, born and raised. Hillel and FJA were my literal and figurative playgrounds growing up, and it's there that my love for Judaism began to crystallize. In day school, I experienced Judaism as an enactment of tradition, a telephone line of history. Growing up, Judaism and Hebrew were an inheritance. And, as it will happen, as Rabbis Dahlin and Starr mentioned today, the primary theme of this week's parasha is the infrastructure of tradition. Parashat Truma, which literally means gift or contribution, details the construction of the Mishkan, God's tabernacle in the wilderness. In Exodus 25:8, God famously commands, "V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tochan," and Bnei Israel shall make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell in their midst. The Torah then proceeds to describe in great detail, as we read, all of the materials that will comprise the tabernacle. The ark of acacia wood, overlain with gold, the menorah of pure gold, and the purple, blue, and crimson that will form the cloth of the tabernacle itself. And in many ways, the Judaism of my youth may be likened to the tabernacle. The sanctuary of my youth is full of grandeur, its foundation is strong, and its walls are a loving embrace. And at the end of high school, like the Israelites, I packed up my tabernacle and I carried this foundation with me as I ventured off to Israel to study in yeshiva for a year prior to attending college. I wanted to immerse myself in the traditions that meant and continue to mean so much to me. And towards the end of my gap year in Israel, Chancellor Arnie Eisen, the Chancellor of JTS, came to Israel and he invited those students who would be attending JTS the following year to come and have dinner with him. There, Chancellor Eisen shared a drasha, he shared a teaching with us that left an indelible impression upon me. This is what he said. So a few weeks ago, after crossing the sea and narrowly escaping the advance of the Egyptian army, the Israelites in the Song of the Sea proclaim, Ozi v'zimratya v'hili lishua, ze'eli ve'anvehu, Elohei avi v'aramamenhu. God is my strength and my might. He has become my deliverance. This is my God, and I will glorify him, the God of my father, and I will exalt him. The commentators, however, are troubled by the verse's reference to both my God and the God of my ancestors. Are these two gods not one and the same? Chancellor Eisen suggested, drawing off of the commentary of the Ramban, Nachmanides, that the verse is trying to communicate two different postures towards God. On the one hand, there is the religious identity we inherit, the God our parents and our community pass down to us. And on the other hand, there is the personal God, the God who, as we journey through this world, we find present, or heartbreakingly at times we find absent in our most potent and personal moments. Listening to the Chancellor unpack this verse, I experienced a moment of profound personal awakening. I realized that there was a personal God I was yearning to encounter. The God of my childhood was magnificent, but I hoped that JTS would offer me the space to find the God that spoke to me, to find my personal God. And while at JTS, I did some research on our verse, and I discovered that the Ibn Ezra, the 12th century Spanish commentator, explains that the word anvehu, which previously I've been translating as to exalt God, actually means to enshrine God, or more specifically, to build God a mikdash, to build God a sanctuary, a temple, a tabernacle. So therefore, in many ways, our Parshat Truma, may be understood as the culmination of this promise that the Jews make, that the Israelites make, at the crossing of the sea. However, instinctively, when I read the Ibn Ezra's commentary, I still associated the construction of the tabernacle with the God of my ancestors. After all, I was born into a community with incredible infrastructure. Here in Detroit, God is enshrined in synagogues, day schools, federations, summer camps, and this is the infrastructure that raised me, and it was wonderful. But the Ibn Ezra explains that the commandment to enshrine God, or the promise to enshrine God, the opposite is true. When crossing the sea, the Israelites declare, "This is my God, and I will enshrine him." When the Israelites promise to build God a temple, that desire arises from their encounter with a personal God. And I realized in that moment that if I wanted this whole God relationship thing to work out, I was going to need to discover my personal sanctuary for God. So that's the Ramban, that's Chancellor Eisen. Rashi, however, as he does, turns the whole picture on its head. He explains that when the Israelites praise the God of their ancestors and their personal God, they're declaring that these two separate gods are actually one. He writes, "We are not the first to hallow God by proclaiming him the Lord. This is something that has been ours since the days of our ancestors." The crossing of the sea for the Israelites is then a moment of realization that the God of their parents and grandparents is also the God of their immediate salvation. So this past spring, I had the opportunity to travel back to Israel to spend a semester at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And while I was there, one of my teachers shared a beautiful song from modern Israeli culture. The song is called Elohai, my God. Very fitting, I know. The song was written by artist Kobi Oz, and it features in an album entitled Mizmorei Nevuchim, the Songs of the Perplexed, an allusion, of course, to Maimonides' God for the Perplexed. Kobi's grandfather was traditional Jew from the Middle East, and he was also a paitan, a singer and composer of religious poetry. And when Kobi's grandfather passed away, Kobi discovered hundreds of poems sung by his grandfather, recorded on cassettes in the attic. So Kobi, again a secular and modern Israeli musician, decided to compose a duet with his beloved grandfather. The song begins and ends with the recording of the grandfather's poem, and in the middle, Kobi inserts his own spiritual reflections. His grandfather sings. I apologize, cantors. I'm not going to sing it. I won't steal the spotlight, but I'll read it for you guys. Ata el Elohai, Ata el Elohai. You are the Lord my God, you are the Lord my God. You are the Lord who gathers the scattered of Israel. My God, gather our scattered from four corners of the earth, and send the Messiah our King, David, son of Peretz. This is language, of course, that one would naturally expect to find in the pages of our own Sidurim. And Kobi, the modern Israeli, responds, I have so much to tell you, God, yet you know everything. I have so many requests to ask of you, but I know you want the best for me anyway. I'm a bit perplexed. I don't know what to call you. Are you Elohim or are you Elohim? I have so many thank yous standing in line at your door, but my thank yous always come out cliche. I have so many requests to ask of you, even though I'm basically fine. For Kobe's grandfather, a devout rabbi, faith in an immanent God was a given. Religious language came easily to him. Whereas Kobe, the modern poet and singer, he's still searching for his own religious language. But what I find so moving about this song is that even while Kobe expresses spiritual doubts, and even as he searches for his God, a God that he can talk to, a God that he can believe in, he includes his grandfather's words in his own theological plea. His grandfather's words were bequeathed to him, and they are forever a part of him. His grandfather's words aren't just a contrast to his own, together they form two parts of a whole. If I may present a synthesis of Chancellor Eisen, Rashi, and Kobe's words, it would be that it is inevitable that God will manifest differently in every generation and to every person. But the secret, as Kobe explains, is to integrate these disparate experiences of God, to learn how to infuse our personal gods into the sanctuaries and lyrics of tradition. If I had to try and distill into simple language the most important gift that JTS has given me and my friends, it would be a sense of ownership over our Judaism. It is the belief that if Judaism is going to thrive in the 21st century, it will be because it's invigorated by the needs, wonderings, and insights of its inheritors. It is up to us to encounter its tradition and to add our voice to the symphony of Jewish history. Our Torah was meant to be a Torat Chaim, a living Torah, and our words in the 21st century are its sustenance. Thank you so much, and Shabbat Shalom.